Good evening, guys. It's Barb with Inspire Me 360, and I want to talk about mind over matter. And quite literally, I love this expression because this is so accurate to how to play the game of life. When you finally learn how much control your mind actually has over the material matter or the material aspect or the manifested aspect of your life, it is a game changer. And I want to bring up a few examples of this, okay? I have talked in a lot of my videos about manifesting your dream life, living the life of your dreams, and those are all really big, measurable, amazing things. But I want to bring it back to sort of some of the challenges and obstacles that we can face in life and how I believe that this one key phrase can actually change your life. So when I was in university and we were studying psychology, one of the most interesting cases that, we went over was a case of basically a case study of an individual that had multiple personality disorder. And what was happening with this particular case study was that as the individual would present in different personalities, again, within the same organism, their physical body would actually change. So this person would have diabetes when they were Sally, and yet when they were, Francesca, the diabetes wasn't present. So this tells me, or what I was able to discern from this, is that biology is so much a factor of the mind. And so what the mind believes, it will create. And this is why if you are going through any health struggles, it's so important that you almost take this highest road possible approach in terms of your mental dialogue. Now, I'm not going to suggest that you can eradicate every single disease just through thinking it's so, but you can definitely give yourself a much better prognosis by having this positive outcome. And I know that this will frustrate a lot of people because, again, when you're in pain, you're in, your body isn't functioning. And I want to bring this full circle because, again, I've had my share of really difficult health challenges in my life, extreme health challenges, to the point where I couldn't walk, to the point where I couldn't physically utilize a lot of the muscles in my body. I couldn't swallow. So, I'm not coming at this from the standpoint of having no prior experience, but what I can tell you, which changed the landscape of my life, was my thinking. Having positive thinking, assuming that that which maybe is unseen is in my foreseeable future. And because I had this attitude that no matter what my circumstances were, I was going to be that, 0.1% that was going to make it out the other end. And that's the power of positive thinking. The other thing I always kind of infused into any battle that I've fought myself through my health, through mental health, whatever it, was really in front of me, was that I had this belief that I had the power to change things. When you are empowered, when you believe that you actually are the captain of your own ship, that is a hugely dynamic game changer because it puts the energy of change and transmutation back in your hands and that belief. Now, again, I had a tremendous amount of faith. I've always had a tremendous amount of faith, and I've always believed in a higher power. And that this higher power is guiding me in everything that I'm doing. And I lean into that. I lean onto that higher guidance system. Again, for me, it's God, but it's whatever you want to identify with. I'm not particular in projecting or pushing what I feel on anyone else. This is a personal journey. My relationship with the divine or spirit is a truly personal relationship. So I don't feel that it has to involve anyone else other than myself and God. And so back to to this principle of mind over matter, I love the phrase, as we think, so shall we become. Because again, it's so powerful if we understand that what we are attuning our thoughts to actually start to become manifest when we truly understand this. Now, I'm going to bring the example back to your health. If you say have a strange tingling in your feet and you start to, Google all sorts of potential maladies, okay? And then you start getting in your head about it that you could be, maybe you have this disease or that disease or something's happening, and you really fixate on that thing. The crazy thing about the mind is the mind will start to pick up or create a story that kind of backs up whatever it is you're worrying about or you're afraid about. And again, what I've seen happen to people is that they can actually start to believe or live this worrisome reality, again, because they're focusing their mind so intently on a scary outcome or something that they're worried about that it becomes what out manifests. And this can actually be in all sorts of things. So another example of this could be relationships. So I've had this happen with friends where, they're really extremely worried about what this other individual they're in a relationship is doing, and, becoming hyper focused on, or intent that this person isn't doing proper things or isn't being respectful. And again, they become sort of this vortex of negativity, but because that's what they're focusing their mind on, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So what we're thinking about actually happens because that is the predominant thought that we are sending out to the universe. So if we can apply this to any obstacle that we are seeing out there or any worry that we have, it becomes crystal clear to me that spending a lot of time in the lower vibrational frequency of worry is a dangerous place to reside. I always make it my mission to move myself out of lower vibrational worry thought forms and bring myself into a higher vibrational state where I'm empowered. Now, again, I've had enough health issues to really be able to speak about this. And what I've seen over and over again with my body specifically is that if I can turn my mind away from whatever is kind of bothering me in the moment, and I can push myself towards doing something that's proactive. So whether it is taking a supplement, working out, getting out with friends, taking on a project, as soon as my mind is focused on another outward expression of something super positive, that negative, worrying, even body symptom gets moved to the back. And to get away from things that, talking about health issues that are chronic issues, okay? Another very easily testable way to prove this to yourself. Whenever it's cold season, flu season, everyone around me is getting sick, I specifically do not focus on the fact that others around me are getting sick. I do everything but focus on that fact. Now, certainly I'll take my vitamins, I'll make sure I'm getting extra hydrated, but I actually have it in my mind that I am not going to get sick, that my body is strong enough to be able to tackle whatever is out there. And I just put my mind in this state where being sick is not an option. And time again, I've proven myself right. A lot of times I actually do not have the ability to get sick. I'm running a bunch of companies. I have too many things that are going on. And for me to even take a day off work is really not in my calendar. So if I feel myself moving towards this and sort of starting to get some symptoms or feeling worried about it, I immediately meditate on it, let myself know that getting sick is not an option. I speak to myself, I speak to my body, my cells, and I just say, guys, we gotta up our game here and we do not have time to get sick. And I know that this sounds a little bit crazy, but I'm telling you, it actually works. And I've put it to the test year after year after year. And so really, if you can just grasp this magical phrase, these magical blueprint words for the rest of your life, that mind over matter, your mind is so incredibly powerful, and it has the ability through your thoughts, through your positive acclamation, to create anything that you want. Now, yes, you have to put in effort, okay? You can't just sit there and, lay in bed and watch TV and send out positive energy and think that, you're going to have a lottery ticket float in your window. But there is so much that changes everything about what you're going to experience just by having positive thought forms and staying away from the energy of worry. Worry, people will make themselves sick, and worry will make you sick. And this is another, acute example of how the transmutation of our thoughts can actually affect our bodies. So when we are in that stressed out, worried, frantic state, or in that tense energy, there are different chemicals that our bodies and our systems, our glands are letting out into the actual environment of our body that make it difficult for us to really experience this high vibrational living. And it all stems from thoughts. So I don't want to go on and on about this in this video, but I just want to really drill it into you that practice makes perfect. And catching yourself when you get into this need to kind of hyper focus on anything, health, finances, relationships, job things, anything that you are worrying about, immediately do whatever you can to replace that thought with something that is positive, and get away from, I know it's really difficult in terms of the internet nowadays. I also don't sit there and Google about a bunch of negative outcomes, or get myself in the habit of really digesting scary scenarios. It's just not good for you, because your mind will start to create its own imaginary scenarios of what could happen. But when you're doing this, you're actually visualizing a terrible outcome for yourself. And as you put yourself, the character, into these sort of traumatic outcomes, you're signaling the universe, you're signaling the quantum field that that's something that could be magnetized into your reality. So just don't do it. Keep this ridiculously positive outlook. Even if you're faced with, things like a cancer diagnosis, or, whatever it is. I have some also really cool friends that have had extremely scary diagnoses in terms of their health. And just by having this ridiculously positive attitude, have moved through the season of that disorder or that disease with flying colors. My grandma is an example of this, okay? She beat cancer 4 times. And I know from spending so much time with her before she passed away that her level of positivity was always a factor. She always thought that she was going to beat it. She always had this spirit of, this is not going to get me down. Just because the doctor is saying this, I'm going to be that 1%. And she always was. And it wasn't until the last stages of her life where mentally she actually decided it's time for me to go. And I remember having that conversation with her, and she just said, you know what, I'm not going to fight this time. I'm not interested in fighting. I'm ready to go. And you know what, that also became her ticket home. She was ready to go home. And it really taught me a lot about the power of positivity and the power that we really truly have.